Here we go.
What up?
What's up?
What is going
What's
on,
up,
guys?
fellas?
How are you all doing this evening?
Doing great.
One day closer to football, baby.
Yo,
That's right, man.
we are one day closer. I mean, hey, we get the action started tomorrow night, but yeah, big, good league last week. Hell of a time. So, honestly, we're just gonna get right into it. Yeah, so we're gonna kick it right off. We're gonna do something different this week. We've got the week 4 snapback. A little foreshadowing this week. Snapback, which, by the way, Ben, I like your snapback.
Yeah.
We have got a special guest this week, guys. You guys all know him as the CEO and co-founder of Snapback Sports and Knights of G-Gen Roundtable, the man himself, Mr. Jack Settleman, in the building. How are you doing?
I put it on. I had to put it on. I'm doing well. You guys, I too am ready for football to return in the very short absence, but Judge just hit 61, so a little bit of excitement tonight. Although the fan who missed catching it by like 6 inches dropped a $500,000 bag, so I feel very bad. But my plan is, so they're off tomorrow. And then they actually play my Orioles this weekend. I can't go Friday night, but I'm hoping he doesn't hit one Friday so I can go Saturday. And what would you fellas do with $2 million? There's a $2 million bounty on the ball. So by the way, I'm selling that immediately.
Oh, yeah.
But I can't decide what I would do with the money. Probably buy like an Aaron Judge jersey. After that, I'd have to figure it out.
You could give it to him.
I'm not going to lie.
Where would you want to sit? Where are you trying to sit to get that ball?
All right. I don't know how many New Yorkers are listening, so I don't want to give away my full strategy, but we've already dug into the research, the spray chart. Judge, he leans left field, but there's actually a ton in right center and right field that he hits at Yankee Stadium. So I think I'm going to go there. More importantly, what would your strategy be if you caught the ball? Because New Yorkers, then you're fighting over a $2 million baseball. I literally think someone is going to get seriously injured. So I'm like thinking of, if I happen to catch it, how am I distracting people, getting to security and getting to safety before I get mauled to death?
So the first thing I'm doing is I'm finding Zach Campbell, because he's going to be at the game, and I'm following every move he makes, okay? But then I'm just putting the ball in my pants. Like, as soon as I get it, the ball's going straight into my boxers. Like, that's just how I'm going to do it. Like, you're really going to have to work to get the ball.
So what I worked out, and this will be very tough to pull off, but hey, this is still 1 in a million chance, is you buy a ball in the stadium. If you catch the ball, you would imagine there's some type of scrum. You drop the ball you purchased on the ground and others set around that. Then you kind of hide it, walk away slowly. That, I think, is the move. But could that be pulled off? I don't know.
The decoy.
First, you got to catch the ball. So we'll see.
Right. I was going to say bring a fanny pack, try and hide it in there and just get on the ground. But you need your 2 hands for the ball. So
yeah, exactly.
I'd say hire some security. Get some big guys in there to clear the way.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. What floors are we sleeping with $2 million? Are we going to night floors, or are we taking something else out?
Oh, we could buy Knights. We could buy Texas Longhorns, a new quarterback. We could do a lot of things.
Welcome,
I like
Jack.
I like that segue. So, you're obviously a big Longhorns fan. I'm a big Longhorns fan. So how are you feeling about the season so far? I mean, you just kind of said it there, but
yeah, I'm a little bummed. No, I was kind of back in on Hudson being the carrier. It sounds like Quinn's actually going to be out again, but he should be back for OU in 2 weeks. I'm not a what's the word when you lose a game but people are excited about losing it? I'm literally blanking.
Moral victories.
Moral victory. I'm not a moral victory guy. As I tweeted after we lost to Alabama, I'm never excited after a loss. And some Texas fans were, but a lot of people were like, that was an opportunity to win the game. What I walked away from it with was, maybe this defense is for real. Yeah. And I was convinced that after UTSA it was, and even first half at Tech, it seemed to be strong outside the first drive. And then it was just like your traditional Texas collapse. I never liked Sark's framing of the season that the whole goal is to get to Dallas for the Big 12 championship. I want to win real championships. Like if we go 10-2 or 10-3, have 2 conference losses, win the Big 12 championship, many people will consider the season a success. I think it's a failure. Like, you had Bam on the ropes. If you were good enough to go and do that, we'll see, though, because last year when this happened, they started out strong, lost the heartbreaker to OU, and then just collapsed second half after second half. So Quinn, I think, is a stud. Yeah. I'm excited for him to be healthy. But I just think you have the talent. Like, there's no excuse ever, but especially anymore, that you've now ranked top 5 recruiting classes to lose to Texas Tech. Like, there's no way the athletes on the other side of the field are as good. So it's either coaching, it's confidence, it's game plan. It's like they're being outclassed year in and year out. And I just think it's unacceptable.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Tech, they found a way to stay on the field.
They had so many plays.
The ball out
6 for 8 on fourth. Yeah.
I think they ran 109 plays.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Was the count I had, but you were kind of getting there. And my big question for you, because I got my ideas, and everybody is like, why is Texas down? It's been a decade. They've got enough money. They're getting the players. You can really ask the same thing about SC, Florida State, Miami a little bit, Florida. Yeah. How can't they get out of their own way? Why can't they get out of their own way? That's my big question.
I would say coaching. Like Herman, I liked his edge, but he just was, I don't know. The players didn't seem to love him. Charlie Strong was obviously the wrong hire at the wrong time. They haven't had a quarterback. Like, as much as the talent, if you look at Alabama, like, what people don't realize is, yes, the early years with Greg McElroy and whoever they could win a championship with one of us behind center, but not over the past 8 years. Like, they went Hurts, Tua, Mac Jones, Bryce Young. Like, these are first-round NFL prospects. So college football has always been centered around who's the starting quarterback, and they finally got that guy. I did think Sam was a great college quarterback, and I felt like there was a little left on the table there. But, like, they had Tyrone Swoops, and they had some really bad guys. But, like, Quinn's the guy, and you saw that in the first quarter against Alabama. Like, it completely changed how Alabama was playing, and then Card was hurt. But I think they just haven't gotten the quarterback. Now, if there's no success between Ewers and Arch Manning, then you throw your hands up and you're like, well, maybe never again will this program be good.
I used to think I was at that championship with Colt McCoy, and when Garrett Gilbert had to come in, I wonder if him having to play in that game just set him back. Yeah. You're in the national championship game, you're a freshman, it's too much, and he just never kind of recovered. Well, he was Gatorade National Player of the Year. I mean,
the crazy thing is, though, at SMU, he was good. Like, he was good when he went over there. And now that's like the funny joke is every Texas bus just goes and plays in Dallas at SMU, and Hudson Card will make an incredible pony. But I just think if Ewers and Manning aren't the answer, we're in trouble.
I wish Card would have transferred and we'd have kept Casey Thompson, because I mean, at least he's putting up numbers in Nebraska. So I mean,
I'm a huge Casey Thompson fan, but his stuff in Nebraska is very reminiscent to last year. His game script, opening drives, incredible. And then when, like, it's not all in front of you, it falters. It's still unclear. Like, where are the second half problems coming from? Why is it Sark can't make adjustments? Is the defense just got tired? Like, they led by 14 points, so they're clearly the better team, but just that it was a big bummer, because I thought they could run the table. I really thought they could run the table in the Big 12.
And what's crazy is you had your defensive anchor Overshone back in the game, because he didn't play the entire first half due to the suspension. And it's like, the numbers, everything was lining up to where we should have just taken that game and just walked out there with the dub and kept it pushing. But that defense, man, it was just –
you got to give credit to Tech. I mean, they just stayed on the field, and when you can't get if your offense comes in every 6 minutes and you go 3 and out, you don't get the ball for 5 more minutes, so the rhythm is just toast. And that's what I saw as Tech, just whether it was coaching or they just made the plays to stay on the field. They played keep away.
There does seem like, if you're a Texas fan or even from the outside, you could start to feel like there's a curse almost, because as much as crazy as the game was, they blow a 14-point lead. They come down the field in 19 seconds, go to overtime, and you're like, wow, like, this is another crazy comeback against Tech. And then the kid who's the best running back in the country, who has literally never fumbled in his life, fumbles on his first carry of overtime. Like, it's just the most bizarre things happen to this school. And it's a little sad, but I don't know. Like, if we beat West Virginia, Quinn comes back, we beat Oklahoma, do I get excited about that? Like, yes, I guess a little bit, but it'll more so have me wondering, like, because I didn't talk about this, on this show back when it happened, but I thought Sark, like, played really weak against Alabama. Like, I thought he should have been going for it every time on those short fourth downs, and he kicked virtually every time. And that's just not the way I would have played it. And so it's like, if we had just gone for it, one of the fourth downs there, if we had just held on to the lead against Tech, you beat Oklahoma, you're 6-0. So I almost like hope we're not as good. Like, last year felt good that we landed on 5-7 because the blown lead against Oklahoma had me wondering, like, what if we had held on? Are we really one of the top teams in the country? The answer was no. So we'll see this year.
Yeah, I definitely think that you have to put the nail in the coffin when you have a chance. And Texas absolutely had a chance to do that. But let's put the season aside because you've already wiped your hands with it. I know Doc has as well. Like, Texas isn't quite back yet, right? But the SEC is right around the corner, Jack. And when you come in, your Kool-Aid shipment will get probably about 48 hours from after you arrive in the SEC. You'll get the SEC Kool-Aid. You'll be drinking it. You'll be chanting SEC every weekend. But it's got to help. I mean, I know it's all a joke, but it has to help Texas being in the SEC, being in that primetime stage. I know there's been this kind of back and forth with conferences, but you still are on the highest level, and it's got to incentivize kids that have been leaving the state because, coaching's a problem, but so is recruiting. Yeah. Too many guys are leaving Texas that should be going to UT. It's got to be a help. Are you excited about the move? What's your feeling?
I don't know if I'm excited. I'm half excited, half not, because at the end of the day, if Texas is going to have the best team on the field, I'd rather play in the Big 12 and run through just a very vulnerable conference. Like, you have one big game a year against Oklahoma, neutral site, and then you'll play one game, whether it's at Kansas State or Oklahoma State or Baylor, where it's like a tough road game. But really, you should wipe the floor with these teams. Now I got to go not only play Georgia or play Alabama, but I got to go to Auburn or go to Ole Miss or go to South Carolina if they're having a good year. So from that perspective, no, we lose a lot of recruits to A&M. And like you said, we lose a lot of recruits out of state too. So I'm excited for the SEC. I'm thankful that we played Alabama close so that by the time we actually get into the SEC, everyone's like, oh, you guys are just going to go 2-19 every year, losing to everyone but Vandy. I think we proved that we can hang. And I've always been SEC is the best conference, but it's extremely top heavy. Like, it's a joke that, Missouri and Vandy and even like Florida the past couple of years, like, they're not that good at teams. And then they get blown out in the bowl games. I have a lot of SEC friends, so I hear, the SEC Kool-Aid. So I'm prepared for it, but will I spin it in Texas direction? Absolutely. Like, if we lose to Georgia and they go win the title, we're the second best team in the country. So,
well, your talking point, Jack, let me just go and fill you in. Bowl games don't matter. So, like, unless you're playing for a championship, bowl games don't matter. That's your first SEC talking point.
Yes. Well, I experienced that because Texas beat Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and I found out that bowl games. Hey, bowl game mattered because plus 350 Texas money line definitely hit my account, whether or not it mattered or not.
I got one more SEC follow up for you. I'm an SEC guy. What's a road trip you're looking forward to making in the SEC? Because there's a lot of big ones, obviously, and there's a lot. I mean, the atmospheres on campus in the SEC are a different animal than a lot of places. So, do you have one like penciled in that you're ready to go to?
So, forgive me for my lack of awareness. Who is your SEC team?
Alabama.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. You got lucky.
Because
I was there when we were bad, Jack. So
it was interesting. You said I'm an SEC guy. Normally you would say like I'm Alabama. I thought you were going to be like I'm Vanderbilt or something. So we play next year in Tuscaloosa. I don't know if I'm that excited for Tuscaloosa. You can tell me if I'm wrong. I would say the one, maybe like Baton Rouge, maybe Death Valley would be the one I'm most excited for. I've been to Ole Miss. I actually went to Ole Miss, Bama, like 4 or 5, or geez, I forgot how old I am now.
Perry? Was it the Katy Perry game day year?
It was a game where they went up big early.
Yeah.
then down a lot. So we left with like 4 minutes left, and then they recovered like 9 straight onside kicks. So I think LSU is the one that I would be most excited for. What is the best one?
I mean, Ole Miss is tops for
Yeah.
partying. I mean, that's
Right.
that's
Are you
number
sure?
one. Yeah.
Are you sure
The
right
night
now?
game-
Like if you look at their stadium the other day, I mean, it looked like a high school game. So
I'm talking about
Yeah.
outside the stadium, though. I'm talking about
They're busy partying outside.
everything.
Yeah.
But Ole Miss, LSU is great. Alabama's great for the game itself. There's obviously plenty of good tailgating, but I wouldn't rank it as like a top 3 or 4 tailgate, hangout, party atmospheres. The game obviously is electric. The stadium's huge, everything like that. So those would be tops. Tennessee, when they're good, is like a sneaky good road trip.
The swamp looked like an amazing game atmosphere. I've been to Gainesville once before. It was during Ultra, so there was no one there. I mean, that town is your college town for sure. But the swamp looks pretty fun. And Casey Jones says Death Valley is Clemson. Isn't it also LSU?
Yes.
It's 100% LSU. I mean, yeah, it's
Right.
both of them. But if you are claiming a Death Valley, it is LSU. Clemson's never been registered on the Richter scale ever in life. And Death Valley in Baton Rouge, that's a scary place to play.
They'll do it for a
Same
Garth
as-
Brooks concert.
Exactly.
Same as if you're claiming UT is Tennessee. Like, just fuck off. Like,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
But if you do go to that LSU game, make sure go to a night game.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
That's when it gets wild.
That'll be interesting because obviously the SEC plays those 3:30 games are always a good slot for them. Do they have a lot of night games?
Yeah.
Oh,
They do. Yeah. So
There's
I
so
mean,
many good teams. There's like 5 good games a week.
right.
Yeah.
So Texas, it'll be interesting, like because the Texas Bama game got picked for Fox Noon kickoff, so it was 11 local. Texas OU got picked again for 11 local. So we don't actually play a lot of night games for our big games. It's actually like the weird ones, like home against I think West Bob might be a night game or something like that. But LSU in 19 against the Burrow Jefferson Chase squad was a night game. And that was rowdy. The Notre Dame game was at night. I love Texas night games. They're just so few and far between.
Yeah.
Speaking of atmospheres, I know you're traveling around, you're going to every Monday night game, right now?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Have you found, because you're going to some of the bigger games right now, have you found an NFL atmosphere that competes with college? And you've been to some big games at UT, but have you found something that's similar?
So funny enough, the first 2 games of the season was Seattle with Russ's return. So if you're not going to get a crowd for that game, you're not getting it anywhere. And then Buffalo, really, really strong crowd. The New York, New Jersey crowd at MetLife was very meh. But I would say the craziest college football crowd I've been in is Penn State whiteout against Michigan in 2013, maybe 14. Yeah. I had a streak of games where every time I never leave games early, never. But for some reason, we've been drinking all day and the game's taking forever. So we leave like right before the last couple of drives because it was right. Weren't they killing them?
It's triple OT. We were up 2 touchdowns. They came back. Allen Robinson had that crazy.
The A-Rob catch. Yeah. So I was at that one, left it early, then left an Orioles playoff game. But that crowd was pretty crazy. The craziest college crowd I've ever been in, though, Kansas basketball. Senior night, Devontae Graham against Texas. That was like deafening loud for tip-off, which was really, really cool. Do NFL crowds compare? No, it's a much more mature corporate like kind of crowd. There's still plenty of people who are, but like if you're in the student section at a Big Ten or SEC game and everyone has just had way too much to drink, that's as loud as you're gonna get.
Now, Jack, I have a question. Have you been to Kansas City Stadium?
I haven't. That's in 2 weeks.
Yes. I just got back from there. I'm a big Chargers guy. I went to Chargers Chiefs Thursday Night Football.
Nice.
Just wait until you go because you're gonna be like, it's corporate, it's clean, that type of stuff. Just let me know how your ears feel after that game because it is.
I'm excited for that. Yeah. So the first 5 weeks, it's Seattle, Buffalo, Kansas City, and then I don't anticipate any crazy crowd. So we'll get a good taste of if the college stuff compares. What do you guys think is the loudest crowd in college?
Loudest crowd in college. I'm just going off what I've been to. I mean, LSU, I've been to 2 games where they played the number 1 team in the country. And disappointing, they have a combined like 3 points in those 2 games or 6 points. I'm serious. And so the crowd just it was always right there, and it just couldn't get over the top. But that's up there for just really loud.
Yeah. I'm going down to Dallas, so I'm actually going to Texas OU and then swinging over to Kansas City. So I have a fun weekend planned. But it's not the loudest crowd because it's a split stadium, but that is definitely one of the coolest experiences, the split crowd, one side absolutely going nuts. Like the run to end the game last year, it wasn't fun for me as a Texas fan, but it is super cool how our entire side of the stadium is dead silent, and they just literally won the Super Bowl.
I'm not going to lie. I'm actually trying to get over there in 2 weeks. I haven't decided if I'm going to buy a ticket yet or not, but I only live a couple hours away, so I'm definitely thinking about making that drive and going because it's been a bucket list thing.
You've never been?
Mm-mm.
Oh,
I've never been to a Texas game.
You've never been to a Texas game?
I have been a Texas fan since I was a child, and I've never been able to go to a game.
So, by the way, not even close. It's gotten better over recent years, but Texas game experience, like they say everything bigger in Texas. Texas loves their football. They do. But that's just like old sacks of ham, who don't stand and they're sitting in their $4 million donation seats. Texas OU is a way better experience than actually a Texas home game, in my opinion. Would recommend, and the state fair is amazing. You can eat your sorrows away after the game because we seem to lose. I graduated in 2018. All right, so our first fall was 2015. One of my friends has not. So we've gone back to school a bunch of times. Went to the Maryland game at FedEx. He has not seen Texas win in person since the fall of 2016.
Wow. That's tough to do.
Yeah. It's been, and we went, but it's not like they're blowouts. It was OU last year, Bama this year, LSU 2 years before that, Maryland, it's bad. So Texas OU is
rough.
Yeah.
It's just the last 10 years. Because I grew up with Ricky Williams, and right before Vince, I was living out there. And when Ricky used to come on to the field or come off the field or touch the ball, the place would physically rumble. Yeah. That was a wild year. And I went to some games after the Colt years, and it was just hard to get people in the seats.
It's bad. Yeah. They've done a nice job. They built Bevo Boulevard, and they're working on the game experience. And Alabama, it was rocking. I will say that. And the students were rocking. These Big Ten schools, Nelly knows, it's you wake up at 6 a.m., you tailgate, and you're there. And that's not a thing at Texas. It's hot at 11 a.m., and you're not going to watch a bad team. You're just not. And the students were there 6 a.m. because they had to, or else they wouldn't get in, and they were rocking. So I like that Texas is headed more in that direction in a positive way.
Winning cures all. That's for sure. I got some rapid fire questions for you here. Semi-Longhorn edition. Ricky Williams or Earl Campbell?
Ricky, only because we had a class together while I was in school. He came back to get his degree, so I like Ricky. Yeah.
That's a good enough reason. Yeah. Favorite Longhorn of all time?
Vince Young. That's easy.
Vince Young edition.
He made me my favorite. So, all right, my favorite Longhorn outside of Vince Young is not a football player. Would be actually 2 guys: DJ Augustine and then AJ Abrams.
When you said that the other day, I was like, I want to hear more about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why. He was little shooting guard. I think he wore number 3. And I just always remember the story about how he trained with his dad. He would hold the broom up. And then Fred VanVleet had a very similar story. And I just liked his game. And so Vince, I was 10 years old. So 05. What year were we in? 22. Trying to do quick math. Yeah, I was about 9 or 10 when Vince ran for the Roses and really captivated me as a Texas fan. And then it went straight into Colt. But in those years, it was the basketball team that was actually pretty good with Durant, and that kind of carried over my love for Texas. And I'm a huge basketball fan too. So sneaky, weird ones, but Vince Young is obviously the go-to.
Certainly. TJ Ford. That guy was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, he was right before where I was in love with the squad. But he's, out of all the Texas legends, he's probably the one that Texas fans love the most, that like the general population doesn't associate with Texas.
Oh, he was so good.
I'm a
Do
Houston
you have a
fan.
most memorable game at DKR?
Most memorable game at DKR. So the 4 years, just so everyone knows, the 4 years I was there were historically, statistically, the worst 4 years in Texas football history. So the memories are not incredible. Everyone says the Notre Dame game because that was like the first time Texas was back, and it was a crazy game under the lights, and we were kind of back. But I would say literally the one I remember most is, well, the play I remember most is Sam came in, I think, freshman year against Oklahoma State and like played well, and then just literally threw Oklahoma State the ball in the end zone to end the game. And I was quite confused why he threw the ball to the other team. But I was on the field for the comeback against maybe Kansas State. They won in overtime. See, I don't even remember. But there were a few moments. There were a few.
More hate. Who do you hate more, OU or A&M?
OU. I wasn't at school for that. I always find the A&M hatred funny because we haven't played them in like over a decade. And as a Ravens fan, the fact that Tucker kind of ended A&M, I don't know, like makes me hate them less. And we play OU every year, so that rivalry is more real to me.
And it's funny because growing up, I hated A&M so much. That was the game.
Yeah.
And then when OU won like 4 years in a row, that's kind of when it flipped.
Exactly.
And everybody just started hating OU. All right, you are now the sports czar. Bill Simmons has retired. You're the sports czar of the country. What is the optimal number of playoff teams?
Ooh, the optimal number of playoff teams. I'm fine going big. I think that question matters about what do you make the regular season like, because you don't want too many games. But I think eight is a good number. Like the 8th best team in the country has an outside shot. You get all the Power 5 conferences or whatever the conferences look like. You've got some smaller teams who have a chance to get in, some at-large bids. I think 8's good. And if it ends up 1 versus 2, I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. It just makes it more interesting to me.
Best team in the country right now.
I like that, by the way, Casey Jones. 8 with first-round home games. See, that would be a fun reward, too, for those squads. I think that would be – now, would the NCAA ever let anyone besides themselves make money on that? Probably not. But I like that concept. What was the question?
Best team in the country right now.
Best team. I think it's Georgia. I'm unsure how good Alabama is based off my skewed feelings on them after our game. I'm definitely not in on Ohio State. I think there's a whole kind of tier with those two teams. And Clemson, hey, if Kublak or whatever his name is the starting quarterback by the end of the year, we can have that conversation. But I don't see how Clemson gets there without, losing a bunch of games with DJ. So, yeah, I'll go Georgia. Michigan, I'm not sold on them either.
No.
One more question. Most important question, toughest question. Austin, Texas. Best place for breakfast tacos.
Ooh, breakfast tacos over barbecue. Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I had a bunch of friends who loved breakfast tacos, but I wasn't the biggest breakfast taco fan. I actually could not give you like my go-to breakfast taco, but I can tell you that there are no bagels in the state of Texas. And if you're looking for a business opportunity, figure out how to make, like, I think there's one spot, it's called Holy Bagels. It's out in the middle, it's 25 minutes outside of Austin. It is the most, like, your local bodega makes 4 times a better bagel, and they must do $1 million a day in revenue just because it's that or Einstein's. It's insane. So I say barbecue-wise, though,
that's the spot.
In Houston, they got good ones in Houston.
Yeah, the bagel shop in Houston. But yes, I was going to say give us your barbecue spot.
Yeah, I like Black's a lot. It was just always our spot. It was close to campus. Franklin's is the real deal, though. I had it twice. I'd never waited in line. We had pledges, thankfully. And even like cold, 4 hours later, it was the best barbecue. So Franklin's is definitely the go.
real quick while we're on the barbecue topic, when you're in Kansas City in 2 weeks, Kansas City Joe's.
That's the spot?
Oh, God, yes. Yes.
Is that like the spot?
Yes.
Is
yes.
it the touristy spot or it's like the barbecue spot?
So I went on a barbecue tour. I had a couple of different spots every day. That was by far the absolute best barbecue all around. You have like a historical spot. It's like Arthur something. I can't think of the name of it right now. I had that first night. But yeah, Kansas City Joe's, the flavor, just dude, it was out of this world. So Q93 is also really good. But yeah, Kansas City Joe's.
Is that the one that's like in a garage or something? I feel like someone told me something weird about one of the barbecue spots.
No, there is one in a gas station, and that's actually it. That's it. Kansas City Joe's is a gas station. So yeah, no, that's the spot. So make sure you get that because I'm telling you, you'll be like, damn, this is up there. So.
Jack, it sounds like you need snapback bagels. You gonna make that happen?
We're working on the chicken tenders, bagels. No, there's good bagels in the U.S., but just Texas or Austin, Texas is tough.
Yeah. All right, I got one question I'll throw your way, and it moves a little bit away from football. But since you're going to see Aaron Judge, I'm going to throw one out here. His 60-second home run ball, or the Ravens make the Super Bowl, Lamar Jackson's MVP. You get the signed game ball, his jersey, and the helmet from the game. What are you going with?
He wins Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah.
I think I would take that one.
Wow. Okay.
I
respect the fandom there.
The difference, and it's not even fandom. That's the thing. It's not fandom. Like I take $2 million over that experience 99 out of 100 times. What I think it would do for my brand for Snapback, and if you don't think I have multiple notes apps of like receipts, like the joy I would have on Twitter over the next 48 hours after that moment would be like, you could not put a price on it. And this is coming from a petty point of view. But who are you guys, the NFL teams? Have you ever won a Super Bowl?
When I was young.
Yeah.
A whole bunch.
I'm a Lions fan, so I've never even sniffed one.
Titans.
That's fair. So in 2012, when we won, I wasn't at that age where I could fully appreciate it. Like I was so exhausted from the game. I didn't even go out on Bourbon Street. I was 16 years old. That's probably a mistake looking back on it. But yeah, Lamar would, like, if you said next year Lamar leaves, goes to the Dolphins, and we win it with, name any quarterback, I picked the Judge ball. But the Lamar, like, I've also got enough investment via the collectible route and others that there would be a little monetary gain as well. So I'll go with Lamar.
So here's my question. With you being a big Ravens guy, what's the number that gets Lamar to stay in Baltimore? And do you think they should pay him whatever he wants?
I think they should pay him whatever he wants, because this is the thing. And I'm the biggest proponent. If I had a TV spot and my voice was even louder, I think this would have caught on by now. The window. I call it the window. And it's this window where your quarterback's on the rookie deal, the roster is fit. And like, since Pat Mahomes' window and he signed, right, the team has gotten worse. They had to let Hill walk, and they just haven't completely made it back. And the second he signs that contract, the window closes.
Yeah.
Having like just the understanding how tough it is to win a Super Bowl, I have so much fun watching Lamar, and the Ravens are so good with Lamar that I'm actually okay with sacrificing like the opportunity to win a Super Bowl. So I'm like, whatever, just pay him at this point, because the day, like, I mean, you look at a Lions fan, a Titans fan, other fans, like they know what it's like to not even be able to enjoy Sundays. And so there's a little bit to that. It's kind of a weak point of view because Super Bowl or nothing, but I pay him whatever. The number, it seems like it's just guaranteed money. I'll say this though, I'm kind of nervous. Like, it just doesn't add up, right? Like his the tweet after the Dolphins game, he doesn't want to talk contract. It doesn't even seem like he wants to revisit it during the season. I would not be shocked if he walked and it wasn't a money thing. Like I just don't know if he wants to be, whether it's with Greg Roman, they don't get him the weapons, they don't protect his name in the media, whatever it is. there's something a little weird going on, but we'll see.
As I like to say, pay him. It ain't my money. So.
that is what I said. Everyone's like, would you really want to pay him that much? I'm like, it's Steve Bisciotti's checkbook. What the hell do I care about that?
All right, so we did terribly awful last week on our locks. You got anything for the people out there? You got one lock for us?
So I looked at the slate that I got DM'd, and I definitely did not like my picks. So I don't know if there's a graphic coming out on that. We do a college pick'em every week, like me and my friend, or college and NFL pick'em. And I think I've tweeted this before. There's always one consensus pick that 90% of the pool is on. And the other side of that hits it like an 80% clip. It's like the most free money of all time. Week 1, it was that Florida State. What was it? Florida State, LSU? Yeah. And the whole pool was on LSU. Obviously, Florida State covered and won the game. So I don't know what that is yet. What is Texas's spread against West Virginia this weekend?
Was it 9.5, or am I making that up?
Hang on, I'll tell you, because I have it pulled up over here. I just got to find it real quick. It's in here somewhere.
Don't bet with your heart, Jack. Do not.
It is,
you know better.
So it's 9.5. It stayed at 9.5 all week.
So the Ole Miss Kentucky one is a freaky one, right? Like the 17 in the country, 7-point dogs. I think I rolled with Kentucky with the points there. It reminds me a lot of Florida last week. Like they were getting 10. What were they getting? 10 points last week against Tennessee. And a lot of people want to just pick Kentucky straight up, but no, you take the points in that situation. Baylor's probably a decent bet. Whenever it's unranked, I always take the unranked against ranked, especially when they're getting points. So like that Washington game, they're on the road against UCLA. Is Chip Kelly still the coach? Like who watches? Is he really still the coach?
Not their fans, yeah.
And
nobody shows up at their games.
Yeah, and that's like perfect, like because they'll just win that game, and I'll see Chip Kelly's face, when I'm out at the bar on Friday night. Thanks to cashing that ticket.
We love it. We needed the betting alpha from the head of winning, right? So we're booking a couple of these tonight, Jack. Appreciate it.
I'll give you. It's not college, but I love Cincy tomorrow night. What a spot.
We love betting alpha. Cincy.
Yeah, Cincy against the Dolphins. It's like when you talk about betting spots, there is nothing cleaner than Cincinnati on Thursday Night Football. Miami traveled early because of the hurricane. Tua is banged up, coming off a hot emotional win. The team is messed up. Since he's coming home for a short week in the icy white Tiger jerseys. All right, this is my one pick for the week that I'll give out. T. Higgins, first touchdown tomorrow night.
Oh,
plus 850.
Nice.
That's I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling it.
I love it.
We got
write that down right now.
We got a question from the crowd. One question for you: what can I do to get you in a fitted hat? From Casey Jones.
I don't wear snapbacks. I wear these dad hats. So a fitted hat. I'm not a fitted hat guy. I used to be. I would say one of my
$20 maybe.
Yeah, $20. $20. Well, it's ironic because I said, I would take $20 to wear a Steelers hat, but I wouldn't take $2 million. I'd rather the Ravens win. It's a little backwards there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, all right.
Good stuff, Jack.
We do appreciate you coming on. It's been a great time. Pop in anytime you want, for sure.
I appreciate it. Yeah, if we look good against West Virginia, maybe I'll make a quick appearance before the OU game, give out some more alpha, because I plan on Texas Moneyline paying for my entire trip to Dallas. So maybe you could do the same. We could have a nice fried Oreo, celebrate a big win. We'll see. But fellas, really appreciate it. I'll see you on the other side of this college football week.
All righty, man. We appreciate it. Have fun.
See.
All right. There we
go.
First guest
that
of
guy
the
knows it.
season
Texas
now.
football.
Yeah. Hey, look, this was a great time for me. I enjoyed all the Texas talk.
Yeah, it was perfect setup.
Good time. It brought up heartbreaks, brought up a lot of good memories, all that kind of stuff. So now we're gonna switch it up. We're gonna move right along to my favorite portion of this entire show. Sad state of affairs.
Sad.
Sad.
It looks like an Auburn touchdown right there, but that is just not what we're looking at. It was another great week of college football, so a lot of as much happiness as there is, there's sadness. And let's get right to it. Nelly, bring the people some sadness.
Man, I tell you, it's depending on who you're a fan of, it's either hilarious or extremely sad. When we look down at the Miami Hurricanes down there in Coral Gables, you look at a comment coming out from Rick Stockstill, MTSU coach. Usually has a good team. They're not a good team this year. He came out with this quote this week. Yeah, so they paid us $1.5 million and they averaged 1.6 yards a carry. A legendarily hilarious line. Miami is in shambles down there. They paid for all this high-end coaching. Just really sad. Will they ever be back? So, just sad times down there for you.
I've got one to add to that. Hurricanes rarely do what they're predicted to do. Sometimes they veer off wide left, wide right. Sometimes they travel straight. Sometimes they lose to Middle Tennessee State at home. There's no way to tell until it gets close to land. Prayers to everybody in Florida right now going through that hurricane.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll add one here too before I let you turn you loose, Cerveza.
Yeah.
I've beat up Hawaii enough so far. I know we're not even October yet, and while they deserve it a little bit more, I'm going to let them off the hook this week. I'm going to focus my attention on Colorado. And ESPN already kind of beat me to this with their bottom 10. I already had it locked in. The state of Colorado football outside of Air Force is just a disaster right now. And I'm looking at lines on Saturday, right? And a lot of the FCS lines come out like Friday night, Saturday morning. And I see Sacramento State's like a 4.5 point favorite at Colorado State. And I'm like, what does Sacramento State even have, right? I mean, their FCS team, they're actually pretty good. But to be a home dog to an FCS team, they go out and proceed to get blown out by Sacramento State, right? Got blown out. Doors off, 41-10. They lose that game. Now, they do have the best loss of the season between Colorado and Colorado State. Both teams don't have a win. They lost by 15 to Middle Tennessee State. That was the best win between the two programs right now. Colorado's best win, a 25-point loss to TCU right now. It's a disaster between those two. And there's some back and forth between the worst teams. But Colorado football right now, outside of Air Force, is sad.
Very sad. I'm glad you brought up Colorado so that I didn't have to do it. I promised myself I wasn't going to talk about them this week, and I'm not going to keep that promise. So let's get to it. Let's start. Missouri, Mizzou, sad. Number one, if you had to come in and watch this football game, your girlfriend went to Auburn or your husband is a Mizzou fan, or you're a fan of one of those two teams, schools. I mean, just what an awful football game to watch. And it ended in the only way it could have ended. Tie game at 14, fourth quarter, 4 seconds left. Mizzou misses a 26-yarder. They go to overtime. The Auburn kicker makes the worst kick I've ever seen. I mean, just misses it so far wide left. Offsides, kicks it again, straight through the uprights. Second play of overtime for Missouri. Around the left side, gets down to the one. He's engaged, and he just drops the ball on the 1 yard line. His name is Nathaniel Pete. We are praying for you.
Wow.
It is so sad. And Auburn recovered. Game over. Thank God nobody had to watch any more of that. I mean, that game went to overtime. We're always asking for, extra moments in a game, and we got that in Missouri. Auburn, Miami just covered it. The ultimate hangover. That game started so poorly. I never even got it on the TV. Sad. I always like to highlight, the teams that played their hearts out, and then they lost. So let's go to the Pac-12. Oregon State and Washington State. I mean, just gut-wrenching. Two teams that had the win and just got it pulled from them. Wazoo had the lead for 53 minutes of that game and lost. Oregon bettors, we'll get to that, but that's very sad. Very sad state of affairs. I made a note here, not Colorado. And then I made another note that said, actually, per Twitter, every offensive snap of the football in their games, they fall behind an average of a half point. And that is per snap over 4 games.
That's one of the best stats I've heard.
Smokes.
I don't know if it's true, but it's real sad, and it kind of sounds true. And the next squad I had to be sad about is Arizona State and Cerveza himself. Just very sad. Just it's going to be a rough couple weeks. I think they're going to break out of it at some point, but it's not going to be against Utah, and it's not going to be against USC, and it's not going to be against Washington. Those coaches got to figure out how to attack. Next, Michigan State. Sad. I got bad news. Tuck is still coming, and I got worse news. Your next four is Maryland, Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Michigan. It's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So Michigan State, I mean, that was 2 eggs. That's very sad. And lastly, I need to talk to Texas Tech fans, all of y'all out there. You beat a team that was ranked like 22nd or something. They were only ranked because they lost the game, and you rushed the field.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like you hadn't beat them in 30 years. It's not like they were the 4th-ranked team in the country. They aren't, you know, they're not that good. They're not that high. And I know there's not a lot to do with in Lubbock. I've been to the Chili's. But don't rush the field when beating a barely top 25 team. That is sad. Nice win, but sad.
Did you see the student that pushed the athlete over? Like, I mean, that's
crazy.
That's pathetic. You know, honestly, I just that got my blood
I'm all for
boiling,
rushing
honestly.
the field, but I mean, I feel like they've probably done it more recent than that. You gotta have I know I rushed the field when Arizona State beat a team ranked like I think they were 16th, maybe they were 6th, and that's kind of super borderline weak, but this was not good.
All right, so I have a sad of my own.
Oh, all right.
The Arkansas kicker.
Doink.
Man, he hit that ball so good. As crazy as it sounds, he hit it so good that he hit the top of the upright. Another foot up, and it's good. And he just hit the upright. You know, the 2.5 covered. I know we had it at a 1.5. I can't believe we didn't get it at 2.5 because, I mean, you know, Arkansas
I need that
wants
victory,
to play
Doc.
there. Yeah, I need that moral victory, guys. Like, I'm still under 500. I feel bad for the Arkansas kicker, but stay tuned about that. I've got more things there. So, you know, it was a tough week. Yeah. It was
very
tough
sad.
week, but sad. We need to get the sad sticker in here so we can just sad. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna work on that this week so that way next week, every time we have something, we can just hit the sticker. So
that's awesome.
All right, we are moving on from the sad state of affairs, going right into my favorite segment, the bandwagon jumping. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I have moved on from USC this week.
Oh,
just
man.
for the week, because you know they went to Oregon State, and y'all were telling me about Oregon State's defense, and I was like, "There's no way they're stopping this offense." But my God, they had USC in a snuggie all night. I watched so much Pac-12 football this weekend, like I felt like I was a personal Pac-12 fan. So you know, we're moving on from USC this week, and I tell you who I'm hopping on this week at 1,600 odds in the Heisman. The cornerback of the other UT, Mr. Hendon Hooker.
That's right.
And the Tennessee Volunteers, Hendon Hooker, 1,600 to 1 odds in the Heisman right now as of 2 days ago. Look, is Tennessee for real? Like, is Tennessee for real? If we talk about their next couple of games, they play LSU at LSU, which honestly I think is a cakewalk. They get Bama at home. They play a nobody. They get Kentucky at home, and then they play Georgia. Like, this, honestly, if you put some money on Hendon Hooker right now, you've got a good shot if they win at least 3 of those games, 4 out of their next 5, that he could be a Heisman finalist. That's just my personal opinion.
Man.
You know, but yeah, no, I'm big on Tennessee this week. They played great this week. They really kind of made Florida look bad. We're done with AR-15. Anthony Richardson, you were my darling for a couple weeks. I'm off the wagon. Our breakup, we're done. I'm not returning your texts anymore. It's over. So it's not you, it's me. You know, that's where I'm at with that.
Man, hey, week 1 listeners, if they were paying attention, I threw out Hendon Hooker plus 6,000. So hey, we're cruising right along. Jump on while the train's rolling down the tracks.
Yeah.
I love the Doc kiss of death though. He's AR-15. He's Caleb Williams, and now it fits perfectly because this was not scripted. Tennessee is my team that I'm off the bandwagon on after this week.
Really?
And my thought process just being like, they're a good team. They're a good team, but their defense did not show me much in that game.
Defense is tough.
And there's some questions there for sure. And credit them for finally beating Florida. It was a good win. They tried to give it away, but I'm not sold on them right now. And they got some tough games, and they could still win 10 games and have a really good year. But I just don't think they're a team that's going to compete with Georgia and Alabama right now. I just don't see it.
That's
They're
a
like
murderer's
8,
row.
right? Aren't they up there?
Yeah.
They're like way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they're
think they've been one of the
right
more
now.
impressive teams to watch on the field. But I mean, that is a murderer's row.
I tell you what, their
Uh,
stadium was rocking on Saturday
Yeah.
too. Like that spot, I don't
Checkerboard's
think I've
cool.
ever really paid attention when it was slap full and they had the stadium like checkerboarded. Like,
Mhm.
man, they were jumping. But I think it's been, I don't know how long it's been since Tennessee has had a sellout crowd in a game that actually meant something. So kudos to Tennessee.
Yeah. The other UT.
Hey, man.
Let's go out
They're
west.
fans.
Let's
Sorry,
go out
go ahead,
west.
Space.
I tend to always find these teams. I'm jumping on like a week early because I do want to see what happens. But let's jump on Washington's bandwagon. Here's their next 4: at UCLA, at Arizona State, versus Arizona, and at Cal. They don't play Utah. They don't play USC. Penix has it going on. The new coach has it going on. They haven't quite played anybody yet. We'll see what happens when they go to UCLA this week. But that's a team I'm looking at. If they can get through that, I think they're walking straight to 8-0 and getting better every week. They're going to be trouble in the Pac-12.
Man, I like it. Well, this Pac-12 talk. We need to reach out to them. I'm telling you, man, we're doing more for promotion for the Pac-12 than the Pac-12's doing. I mean, that's some good stuff, man. I got one. And it's hard to say that I was ever on the bandwagon of Northwestern, but goodness gracious, we could have included them in the sad. They got blown out at home by Miami of Ohio. I thought this was the even year. If you look at Pat Fitzgerald, usually every even year he's putting together 8, 9, 10 win seasons. This one looks like it's going to be like a 2-win season. So, I mean, just horrific. I don't know what's going on in Evanston. Great news for them. They're getting that $800 million facility. But I don't know how many wins it's ever going to see. So, but they said concerts are coming, so you can still find
Taylor Swift might be there.
That's right. Hey, entertainment's entertainment. So, and another one I'm happy to share with you as someone I had picked last week on them, the Michigan State Spartans. I'm Cerveza brought up a great point. I cannot be more excited for the next 4 weeks. And then just hearing Mel Tucker come to the podium and talk about all the excuses. Worst part of the team's the cornerbacks. Fun fact: the cornerbacks coach is Mel Tucker. So it's gonna be a great fall, guys.
Yeah, I'll add one more. I'm hopping on the bandwagon of James Madison. I'm going to give James Madison a little love. First year in the FBS, they win at App State. They're 3-0. They got the nation's 3rd best defense overall. Now they haven't played anybody outside of App State, so let them soak this up. But Kurt Signetti has done a great job there, transitioning him into the conference and into Division I or FBS as we call it now. So they might lose this weekend, but I'm going to give them a little love because James Madison has been very good out of the gates, and it's never easy to make that transition. But they're taking care of business right now.
I've got one more.
Nice.
The now football school, the Kansas Jayhawks, and they're sold out crowd Saturday to watch them get the dub. Shout out to Kansas. I can't believe it, honestly. I can't believe it at all. Like it's still blowing my mind that they're 4-0, that they actually had people come to the stadium. Everybody knows that's a basketball school. To sell out a football game on a Saturday morning, electric.
I think that's my favorite story of the year so far.
Yeah.
I've been geeking out.
Thanks,
I've got
Brian.
Kansas all over my page. I've been geeking out about it all year.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on there. We're going to move right along. Nightmare covers.
Man, I tell you, this one I had two, depending, the first one's the easy one there. We just talked about with Arkansas, depending on where you got it at. For me, for the shenanigans that happened in that game, from up 14-0, about to go up 21-0, diving from the 8-yard line or wherever KJ Jefferson dove from, ball flies out, completely changed the game. But we talk about the nightmare portion. Drive all the way down, opportunity to win the game. doinkiest of doinks. I don't even know what you want to call that. It's like the king doink. I mean, just super frustrating, backbreaking. And then out in Oregon, everyone here knows how much I love Oregon. I've been riding them hard all year. And it's tough to really say if it's a nightmare cover because I really had no business winning that bet with how they played all game. But you want to talk about pure elation. We're already deep into the day of college football. To look down, see, oh my God, this covers. And then when I look again, no, it didn't. Super frustrating end of that. Washington State scores a meaningless touchdown. Backbreaking.
On a great catch. And Oregon had the lead for had the cover for 60 seconds of that game.
Yeah. All right. I got one for you. Ole Miss, Tulsa. I don't know if you watched this game. High scoring game out of the gates. Had over, I think it was like 53 or 59. I don't remember what it was. 63 maybe. Anyway, Tulsa out of the gates. Davis Brin, great quarterback. You haven't seen him play. The offense is fun to watch. They throw it around. They're moving the football. Good wide receivers. They get up 14-7 after the first quarter. 21 points. We're feeling good. Then Ole Miss comes back second quarter. They post 28 in the second quarter. We're looking at 35-17 halftime score, okay? Again, we need to get to 63. Fast forward, Ole Miss. I don't know what happened in the second half. I kind of turned it off. I pretty much booked the bet just about. But I did take the live total, which was 80.5. Okay, that's how much they were scoring. 17-point difference. I said I'm going to middle it just in case. Ole Miss hurts Davis Brin, right? He's out of the game in the second quarter. He gets hurt, so their backup comes in. He leads them to one touchdown, but he goes 9 for 22. Ole Miss does not score a single point in the second half. It finishes 35-27, goes under the number of 63. Absolutely could not believe it. I was at 35-17 the first half on a 63-point total. Felt great, but buddy, that was a bad one.
That is brutal. I had one that went under the radar. I didn't even know we had it. I had Toledo -3. Toledo was held scoreless until there was 8 minutes left. They ripped off 14 straight to get the cover, and San Diego scored the winning touchdown with 44 seconds left. And it was just like, I didn't even know this game was on the book. And then I got the cover, and then poof, it's gone. So, yeah, I mean, you're waiting for triple zeros.
Yeah, I don't have any, guys, because, Texas lost, so that threw my parlay out the door. They definitely didn't cover. They didn't do anything like that. I was on the right side of Arkansas, even though I wanted them to win. USC, I mean, that was, shout out to Oregon State, but other than that, I don't really have a, nightmare cover situation, anything like that, because I don't know, man. I'm one of those guys. I just enjoy watching football. If I put money on it, I get too invested in it, and it's not good for my health because this team right here does enough to my health. So, I stay away from the gambling. I just kind of, I'll bet here and there, but I'm not like real big into it. But yeah, no. So I don't really have anything on that note, to be fair. I'm trying to stay pure. I like these little picks that we do because it lets me scratch that itch.
You're in it for the love of the game?
Yeah, I'm 100% here for the love of the game. So, that's kind of where we're at there. But we're going to slide on over. We're going to check out the top 25 real quick. Give a little top 25 log. What sticks out to you guys?
I mean, y'all know my thoughts on Clemson. So that's just a little high.
I still can't believe they're 5, honestly. I can't believe it. But I guess.
Okay, so here's the question. And this is a good question for me too. What team goes in front of that?
So it would be USC if they went to Oregon State and actually handled them this week. Honestly, in my opinion, I think USC should be the 5, but then they didn't. So we're stuck with Clemson and USC because I'm not putting Kentucky or Tennessee anywhere near the 5 spot. So that's where I see that.
I'd be more inclined to stick Tennessee in there.
Yeah, I think to Casey's point, like it's interchangeable and it doesn't matter right now, but I think Clemson has a little better win, right? And if they go out and they win this weekend, would be another one, a notch in their belt. And I think that might be one that propels them past Michigan, especially if Michigan kind of plays a little bit sloppy and doesn't blow out a team. Yeah. But again, it doesn't really matter, but I do think there's a clear separation there that Clemson's in that conversation. I don't know that I believe that that they're a team that's going to make the playoff right now. I think they have a few weaknesses. Their offense is maybe a little bit better, but the defense maybe not quite as good as we thought. But beyond that, like there's a lot of teams in that second half of the top 10 that are pretty good, but I don't think I'd put them on the field at all with those top 5 right now.
Right.
Yeah, it's such a weird setup this season. It kind of feels like there's a big line of delineation, kind of really after the 5 mark. I mean, I don't know. I mean, depends on how you want to chop it up, but it'll be interesting to see the next few weeks if that is the case, because we saw some top teams struggle the past couple of weeks. But is it wide open or is there big separation?
I tell you what I do see here. Which, by the way, Casey, that Clemson game this weekend was actually fantastic. In between, I was switching back and forth like a madman between those games, in that afternoon. And I was definitely watching the Aaron Judge, cut-ins. Thanks, ESPN, for that. ABC. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that while I'm trying to watch college football. But Clemson played a really good game. But other than that, I mean, I don't know. How is Penn State ranked 11th? I don't have a single clue. Shout out to Kansas State. Welcome to the top 25. Welcome because you beat Oklahoma.
7 spots behind Oklahoma.
Hey, yeah, 7 spots behind. But, I digress. Shout out to Kansas State, but I don't know. I don't have too much about that, You see anything, Ben, or you?
No, the only other thing I'd add is Florida State, first time back in there since 2018. So it's better when Florida State's in the top 25. Like them or not, they're one of those teams that you want to be in the mix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, piggybacking off that, it is kind of they are getting pretty well disrespected, I guess, based off of how terrible they've been. Because I mean, if you look at their resume, it's as good as several teams in front of them.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we're at there. We're going to go ahead and slide to our On the Radar section.
Yeah, let's move out from the past. Let's get to the future. Let's get to this week. I've got a list of 75 games that I'm looking for this week, so we'll let me go last, so I don't take everybody's thoughts. But Doctor, you didn't have any nightmare covers. What are you looking for this week?
Sir, 75 games. We don't have the time budget for that.
I do. Y'all let it run for about an hour afterwards. I'll keep talking to one.
Honestly, man, I've really been looking hard at the schedule. And to me, outside of the games that we're going to talk about, which I really, we were talking just now about Florida State. Welcome back to the top 25. And of course, we'll be talking about Wake Forest and Florida State. But, that's one of the games that's on my radar because I think that Florida State is one and done in the poll this week. But other than that, I mean, Alabama, Arkansas is going to be another great game. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. I didn't really have anything wild that just jumped out to me. I think, man, honestly, I don't know. You got games like LSU, Auburn. I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? Indiana, Nebraska. I don't know, man. There's nothing that's jumping outside of the top, the top couple of games that's really just jumping out to me, to be completely honest with you.
Well, I think there's some great games on the schedule. Like we're going to obviously there's 5 ranked matchups. So we're going to hit those up in our picks to this week. So I won't touch on those, but I think the Big Ten has another one. Like I was paying attention to them last week. I learned a little bit, but Michigan, Iowa, another big one to start the day on Fox. And you got Oklahoma, TCU in the Big 12, which TCU has an argument that, hey, maybe they could be the Big 12 champion this year. If they win this game, they're almost guaranteed probably a top 2 finish and make that Big 12 championship. So I think that's a good one. Kansas State, Texas Tech. I think there's a sneaky good slate of games beyond, everybody's going to be talking about the ranked matchups, but I think beyond that, there's a sneaky good mix of games. Even Iowa State and Kansas is another one that's it probably doesn't scream at you when you look at it, but it's a game that could end up meaning a little bit in the conference race before it's all said and done. So I think this is a day that you can sit back, and it's the first Saturday, October. So we're right in the thick of things. You can just sit back and watch from start to finish a full day of football. And I think you're going to have good games on consistently throughout. A&M, Mississippi State, another one. I feel like I'm being Cerveza right now and just running down the list. There's legitimately some really good matchups this weekend.
You should be excited for all of them.
You got to be, right?
Yeah.
We love college football.
Yeah, there you go. That's all. I'm trying to figure out, do I go golf on Saturday or do I just sit there and watch football all day? I don't know.
You got to get that 7 a.m. tea time if you go out. 8 maybe
There
at
you
the
go.
latest.
I can't play till 11, so it's a big problem. But I guess I
No
could play
bueno.
later. But anyway, that's story for another cast here. But Nelly, what are you looking for this week?
Man, it's on the radar. It's kind of two actually more teams that I'm interested in. 3, Penn State, Tennessee, Georgia, bounce backs, follow ups, see what they look like. I mean, Penn State, I really want to see if they can keep this rolling. It looks like, everyone said coming into it, there's Big 4 in the Big 10. Looks like it's Big 2. Penn State's trying to put their stake down as the third option. Michigan State's been terrible. Penn State has everything in front of them. What Frames Janklin loves to do is lose games he shouldn't, end the year 8-4. I'm just intrigued to see where they go from this. And that's kind of what I'm keeping an eye on.
I got a shorter list this week. Texas Tech and K-State. Nothing too exciting about it, but they just beat Texas and OU. So let's let them go head to head, see if somebody can kind of stay alive in the Big 12. And I'm also looking at the under 57.5 in that game. I wouldn't be surprised if it kind of can get into a crawl there and a lot of defense going on. Oregon State at Utah. They got an early kick out in Utah, and I think Utah is going to start, creeping up to show they're the best team in the Pac-12. They could have beat Arizona State by a lot more points last week. So I'll just be interested to see if they can put, the pedal to the metal and really beat up on an Oregon State, team that had a really emotional loss last week. Iowa State at Kansas. It screams at me. I mean, that game screams at me. I'm stoked. Kansas doesn't know what they're doing, which means they're just going to keep doing things right. They've been playing from out in front all season. West Virginia is the only team that's really given them much trouble. I expect to continue. They're going to start 6-0 going into OU. A&M at Mississippi State spin, like you said. I'm starting to get worried. A&M, if you're going to start having things bounce right for them, they're going to get better as the year goes on. Like, if that defense can stay legit, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. And then a game.
That running back's good. That running back's fun to watch. I will say that.
Yeah.
He's fun to watch.
And then I got another game. What is it? 2 uninteresting teams playing an uninteresting game. Colorado at Arizona. Colorado. Y'all know my thoughts on Colorado. I think Arizona's going to get better throughout the year. So I'm just interested to see, is it a tight game, or do they just go in and smoke them and they've got something to build on? That's what I'm looking for.
Man, I was staring at that line so hard, and I was hoping to get your opinion on it, because it doesn't seem like it could possibly be real. That
like
22.5. Yeah, that Arizona team is favored that high against anybody.
Colorado can't score. They can't score
Colorado's
against.
bad.
I mean, they're bad, and I think Arizona's gonna sling it. So if their defense can hold them down, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can lay that, but
yeah, you can't.
Colorado can cover that.
Can you go to the window and actually put money on Colorado right now? That's probably the better question. And feel good about yourself on Saturday. Like, is that possible? I don't think so. Like, it's Arizona or nothing, probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let me tell you guys. So I get up a second ago, and I go get some water because I get, my mouth gets so dry when I'm doing all this talking. I made a whole cup of water, come back in here, sit down, and look in this cup, and there's just shit floating, all in my water. I don't know what it is. So I then have to go back in there and make another cup of water, and I'm over it, guys. I'm sad.
Well, I hope that glass of water brings you back.
Yeah, no, we definitely need it. So, did y'all get all y'all stuff on the radar out?
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
ready.
I'm sorry, I hate to miss it. I know Cerveza. I know you had a slate, so
I'll send you the 12-page email later.
bet I'll definitely check that out. We're gonna move right on along to Kingdom Convictions. Who's leading the banner?
I'll lead us off here on this. I got a few that I'm keeping an eye on. Again, these are bets that we like outside of our lock of the week. So some other games that we're watching, and again, check out the Discord on Saturdays. A lot of great alpha throughout the day. I usually hone in on a few team totals and stuff on Saturday morning. So I usually will post those there. But a few that I'm just kind of looking at and not sure if I want to play yet or not. But Indiana getting 5.5 points at Nebraska. I know Indiana's not great, but Nebraska has one of the worst pass defenses in the country. Indiana can maybe take advantage. I just don't trust Nebraska laying nearly a touchdown to anybody right now. So that's what I'm looking at. Florida International, I don't know what happened to Mike McIntyre. He was the coach of the year 6 years ago. And all of a sudden, like you listen to him talk, he just seems like that kind of happy-go-lucky guy that just is happy to be here, right? Like, we're going to get better next week. I'm just happy to be here. We're going to fight. Like, all the cliches when you watch him talk. And I thought, like, when I heard him 6 years ago, he's a pretty good coach, but that team is dreadful right now. And New Mexico State is a 14.5-point favorite. You talk about Arizona being a 22-point favorite of Colorado. New Mexico State is a 2-touchdown favorite over anybody is amazing. But I'm looking at the first half. I think Florida International, kind of little distractions this week with a hurricane. They're a bad team. I just think New Mexico State can be pretty good to get out there. And this is the third straight game on the road also for Florida International too. So a bit of a travel. Two more I'm also looking at. Texas State going to James Madison. I gave James Madison love, and I'm going to bring him back down to earth a little bit. They're coming off their biggest win, right? School history, maybe, because App State on the road, big win, huge comeback. They're down 28-3 in that game, scored 29 straight. But Texas State's not a bad team. They come in, they get 12.5 points in the first half. I just think James Madison comes out flat. Texas State's got a good defense. These are two of the top defenses in the conference. So I just think it'll be low scoring. If Texas State can just kind of keep it close, and I think they will, I think they'll keep it close for the game, but I like the first half, just James Madison coming out flat. And then the last one I like is Air Force against Navy. We got the Commanders Cup starting now, like the battle's happening. I just think Navy, they got their first win over East Carolina. Good win. But I just think right now that Air Force is a better team. They got one of the best rushing offenses in the country right now. Over 400 yards a game they're averaging. It's only 14 points to me. I don't think Navy's going to score much. And they're not going to be caught off guard by anything that Navy does. Navy can kind of sneak up on a team like East Carolina from time to time. And they threw the ball a little bit, surprisingly, against East Carolina. But I like Air Force, just a much better team. And they've dominated the series the last 2 years. It's been lopsided. I think it happens one more time out in Colorado. So Air Force is another one I really like.
How much do you think Nebraska getting the week off last week? Do you think that gives them an edge on that 5.5, or they're just so far gone?
I mean, it kind of,
they're a terrible team, man.
It's got to help, but like you look back at their just the results, and then you look back and you say, "Oh, they lost." Look at that Northwestern game now. Like it looks worse and worse every week.
Yeah.
And you saw what they did in Oklahoma. Like I think that's just who they are. They're just not a good football team, and I don't think that's going to change this season. Like it needs like a full overhaul. Everything else. I mean, I could be proven wrong. There's probably a reason why. And like Vegas is like, hey, take Indiana. I'm giving you 5.5 points at Nebraska. Like you'd be an idiot not to. So I'm probably an idiot for thinking that. But it just to me, I can't feel like Nebraska is going to go out there and cover anything. I just don't trust them.
That makes a ton of sense. You can't put your money on Nebraska or Colorado.
No.
Oh man,
a couple I'm looking at this weekend. NC State Clemson over 40. That over-under is only 40, and I just think that game's going to get played in the 20s. Clemson's defense is not all that great, but they did show they can score. NC State's defense is great. I just think we're playing in the 20s here. I think 40 is too low. Rock Chalk Jayhawk.
I'll add one thing to that real quick, and Casey can maybe add to that, but I think weather is a thing you got to kind of watch for that one. I think hurricanes coming through, so there can be a lot of rain, and that could be the one thing that throws that off, because I noticed that too, and it seems like it's a little bit lower, but this could easily turn into, like, I don't trust DJ throwing the ball without the rain. Like, you throw in a little bit of rain, a little bit of wind, and then on the other side, Devin Leary, who I loved going into the season, they haven't shown an explosive offense through the air, so that's the reason why I'm talking. I think like it could be a dangerous pick,
and that's why I'm glad that there's four of us. I didn't even consider that. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, Kansas at home, getting 3 points. You know, like I said a moment ago, nobody's been able to stop them. They've been playing from the lead. Give me the points, I'll take it. Kansas is 4-0 against the spread, and I expect to continue. And then, bet what you know. Arizona State, USC under 60.5. The media did not see Emory Jones taking first team snaps with the Devils this week. And it wasn't Paul Tyson either. It was Trenton Bourget. So we don't know what we're going to get from ASU. The scary thing betting ASU or betting the under is if they ever decide to pick up the tempo, you're just not going to know until it's too late. Yep. USC, We saw what happened last week, what a good defense can do to that squad. I expect USC to win, but 60.5 seems a bit much. If ASU can't even get to 3 touchdowns, I'm not sure USC is going to be hanging 40 on the Sun Devils.
I've got 2. Houston is only a 2.5-point favorite at home. U of H. I'm a big Cougs guy, man. I like the Cougs.
You love Cougars.
Love them.
The Cougars.
Yeah, no, for sure. They're getting Tulane. Tulane's played well this season. I think Houston's better than the 3 points, 2.5 points at home. But also, Ben talking about Liberty the other day really got me looking, and Liberty is getting they're only a field goal favorite at Old Dominion. I'm riding with Liberty this week. So
Old Dominion, close to the best team in Virginia.
Yeah,
the Monarchs.
So, I don't know what the total points are there, but I hear Liberty likes to score a lot. So, at least that's what Ben said. So, I'm riding with Ben this week. So
I've heard of way worse reasons to take some bets for sure.
Hey, I'm just having some fun. Like I said, I'm not a big betting guy, but when I'm sitting here looking at some of these points on the Action Network, it's like it's hard not to bet some of these lines. But then again, that's why they are lines, and that's why this is gambling. So,
right.
Always
stuff,
practice responsible gambling, my friends.
There it is.
So we're going to slide on over to the week
I got-
6.
You got to get Nelly.
Sorry, Nelly. I apologize, Nelly. God bless America.
Nah, I got 2. One is, kind of back to what I was just talking about, Penn State and the prove it situation. And also Ben mentioning a Northwestern Nebraska matchup as time goes on. You get one of 2 teams with Pat Fitzgerald, a team that's going to win the division or a team that's going to go 2-10. This looks like the 2-10 season. Northwestern looks incapable of doing anything, either offensively. They're very limited defensively. Penn State is starting to figure it out. 25.5 seems like a lot. They're going to nuke them because that's what Frames does. He gets you the midseason, and then he kind of starts falling apart. So that's my first one for you. Wake, Florida State under. Also talking about weather-related issues. Who knows how bad weather will be, but it'll at least be a little wet out there. I think total's in the 60s, so I like that one going under. Feel like the 2 teams that are going to kind of try and figure each other out.
Like it.
All right, so Ben, you gave yours, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay, because I don't want to cut anybody else off because I felt bad just now. So like I said, we're going to slide on over to the week 6 games. We're starting off with a little Pac-12 on Friday night. These are ending up being my favorite games of the year as the season moves on. So Washington on the road, giving 3.5 to UCLA. I'm going to go to Cerveza, the Pac-12 expert of the panel.
There he is.
I see it so clearly. Just hesitantly jumped on the Washington bandwagon. I'm going to go with UCLA here just to cover. I expect a close game. UCLA, neither team has really been challenged yet. Michigan State, not so much a challenge. Whoever UCLA has been playing, South Alabama is their biggest challenge. So I just expect a tight game. UCLA and their 15,000 fans are going to be hooting and hollering. And I
think they're going to get 15,000?
Yeah, I think so for sure. They're giving them away like tickets away at McDonald's, I heard, and at the USC game 2 weeks ago. But I don't have a great reason other than I expect a tight game. UCLA, they've got talent. They're not a young team, and I just think they're going to be able to play with them, and it's going to be close. And Washington's going to kick a field goal to win right at the buzzer. So give me the points.
Okay.
Man,
I'll tell you, I'll go next.
Go
hop
ahead,
on. I was going to say, this is one you definitely want to shop for a line, right? Because I think it's at 2.5 some places, 3.5. So kind of this is one you want to look for because I think to your point, it's going to probably come down. But to me, like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't even think I realized that like UCLA was even undefeated. Like it feels like they've been like the quiet, not that good. Like they just kind of been going through the motions. We know the fan support's been awful. So yeah, I was like surprised. This is actually an undefeated matchup. But the other part is like, can Washington return to relevance? I went and Googled Washington schedule, right? first thing that pops up, the Commanders. So I'll do Washington Huskies schedule. Next thing that pops up is the basketball schedule. So I'll type in Washington Huskies football schedule to actually get the results I need. So I think this is the week that they can probably do it. I don't have complete faith in this pick, but this is the first road game for Washington, which can be a little bit tricky. But again, what fans show up, we don't know yet if it'll be rocking. DTR has been really good, but that schedule's been atrocious. I'm going to lean Washington. I think they've proved it a little bit more, obviously, than UCLA in their schedule so far. And I just don't think it'll be a huge atmosphere. But again, this is one that, like, as Jack mentioned earlier, like Chip Kelly wins, and you're just like, well, I guess they're not a bad team after all. Like, there he is. He's still coaching UCLA now. Like, that's kind of where this will be, I think.
Oh, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, looking at this one, a couple stats for you. Washington is one of only a handful of teams in the country. It's 4-0 against the spread this year, so taking care of business. I just really trust Washington more in the situation. I know Michigan State, hopefully for me personally, is going to be a horrific team this year. And, I mean, they certainly had no issues with them. That is a bigger win to me than barely beating South Alabama at home. Actually needing kind of some luck to win at home. Michael Penix is trying to get to New York City for that Heisman ceremony. I don't love this. I would say this is probably my least confident pick of the week, but I'm going to lean with the Huskies.
I'm also rolling with the Huskies just because I like their uniforms and I
do like purple.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those games, like you said, it's one of those games where it honestly feels like it could go either way. It could either be, Washington win or UCLA just kind of squeaks it out. But yeah, no, I'm riding with Washington here. I don't have a lot of confidence in this pick whatsoever. Not like I do in some of these others, but
yeah,
we'll definitely slot from there. We're gonna move on Saturday, 11 a.m. kick in Ole Miss. You got Kentucky and Ole Miss. Ole Miss 6.5-point favorites. And when they put this line in the Discord this morning, I was actually confused because I was wondering why Kentucky was getting 6.5 points on the road. But here we are. So I'm honest.
Doc?
Honestly, I'm taking Kentucky in the 6.5 because I was like, I figure Kentucky should be giving points, but no, they're getting points. I don't know. Everybody's saying Ole Miss has got a decent football team, and my big thing is the crowd going to be there if it gets in a late moment in the game and they need that spark from the fans, and Kiffin was talking about it early this week at a press conference. He's like, it felt like a high school football game when we ran out onto the field. So honestly, I'm taking Kentucky. Give me the points here, and we're going to have some fun.
I'm not worried about the crowd not being there this week. That being said, I don't have a ton of good reasons for it. I just think it's going to be a close game, and I'm going to take the points. Kentucky plus 6.5. I think both teams, interestingly enough, both teams were kind of looking ahead last week. Kentucky early in the game and Ole Miss late in the game. But let's just, this is going to be a good, knockdown, drag out fight in the SEC. Kentucky plus 6.5.
Yeah, and I think, when you go to an SEC game against Tulsa, it's an earlier kick. It's probably a warmer day. Like, you're not excited to get there early. Like, it's one of those, like, you dress up, you do the part, you drink the drinks, you make an appearance and you shake a few hands and you hug a few fans, but then you're out. Like, I don't worry about that. Ole Miss will show up this week. A couple things that I'm kind of curious about because, like, this is one of those lines, again, you're like, wait, what? Kentucky's getting almost 7 points at home. They're the higher ranked, or on the road, they're a higher ranked team. But I think the one thing, injury-wise, Zach Evans, the TCU transfer running back at Ole Miss, banged up last game. His status, Lane Kiffin doesn't talk much about injuries, so we don't know his status completely. They have a really good 1-2 punch at running back, so they're not going to be, completely devoid of talent back there. But he's a big part of that. Ole Miss defense is better, but, like, their offense is not nearly as dynamic. You look at their passing attack, and that's, like, the first thing you think of with Lane Kiffin is these guys are going to throw it all over the field. They're going to move quick. But this team's a little bit different. So, to me, like, their offense isn't quite where you want it to be, but the defense is better. And then Kentucky, to me, Will Levis has been really good, but he gets sacked a lot. Last in the SEC in sacks allowed. So can they hold up against Ole Miss's team? So all that being said, I worry about Zach Evans' health. I think Kentucky flourishes in this role of, like, underdog. just I think their head coach with the whole Calipari, like we're a football school, basketball school, all that. Like I feel like they have a chip on their shoulder constantly, and this is a perfect opportunity for them. I don't know that they win, but I definitely expect this to be a little lower scoring, and they cover.
Nice. Well, hey, I'm the odd man out here, so. And I can't believe that a big part of my reasoning for picking Ole Miss is their defense, which has been atrocious since I know they tried to make the land shark thing happen like 6-7 years ago, but the defense is much improved. They love to blitz from all levels. They love to bring the corners down, the safeties down, exotic blitzes. This Kentucky offensive line has been horrific this season. Played Northern Illinois last week, gave up 5 sacks, 2 more pressures on top of that. Will Levis is hopeful to make it through the season. I like Kentucky a lot. I like Will Levis as the top prospect, but I think Ole Miss gets it done.
Kentucky getting their tailback back as well this week.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a good one. Rodriguez.
Let's move right along to another SEC game. Ben, I'm letting you start this off. Alabama.
The boys.
Going to Arkansas.
Now, Doc, I'm now rethinking it. I probably should let you go first. I could have said, not so fast, my friend.
I mean,
I'll go
I'll go
ahead. No, because I think I know where you're going to go, but I'll lead you off. I'll start you off. Now, so Bama, obviously, like, as the season goes on, it's like, okay, look, Georgia, look, they almost lost, right? Ohio State's been, had a tough game or two. Like, those things happen, and you forget about them. That was a big talk 2 weeks ago, but Alabama's come back. They look really sharp. A couple things that I'm paying attention to in this matchup. So Arkansas's defense is number one. Like, sure, they've gotten a lot of pressure against some bad teams, but the Arkansas defense is still a big question in my mind. Alabama, let me just give you the serious history in this, because you might not be aware. If you're not an Alabama fan, you probably don't pay much attention to it. But Nick Saban's never lost to Arkansas in 15 years. They've only been within one score 4 occasions. Okay, so this hasn't even been a close series. The last 6 matchups, Alabama's averaged 49.5 points. The last 6 matchups most recently. So Alabama has just dominated this series. Now, the big questions are Alabama's receivers, right? Like they don't have that playmaker. What's going to happen there? But this week, there's a few guys to look out for. So JoJo Earl, Tyler Harrell, the Louisville transfer, and Aaron Anderson, a true freshman 5-star kid. All these guys have been battling injuries. They're all set to make the return probably this week. I think they were back last week. It dressed out. They were kind of ready to go, but it was Vandy. I know your team, Cerveza, but they had no chance last week. No risk, no reason putting them out there and putting them on film, right? Like these are legitimately like the 3 speed guys on this team. Now, whether or not they can actually make a difference remains to be seen, because it's all hype and speculation at this point. But I will say, like, the one missing piece they have so far could be returned, and any one of those 3 guys could be game breakers. So that's something to watch out for. And I just think overall, like, this matchup just favors Alabama, just when you look at like what the strengths and weaknesses are on the teams. So I do think Arkansas will score some points, but I don't think I really doubt that Arkansas is going to be able to slow down Alabama consistently. Maybe give it a punt a couple times, but I think Alabama can come out and just kind of pick that secondary apart, quick passes, right, and not worry about that pass rush, keep Bryce clean. And I didn't love the number, but like the more I've thought about this, I just think like the matchups and everything else, Alabama might be looking to make a statement potentially too. It's not a homer pick. Like, I don't love it necessarily, but I'm rolling with Alabama just because the matchups and that return of that firepower on the outside, I think just gives them one more chance to put up points.
I love the fact that you brought up, the last 6 matchups. You're forgetting that this was a Brett Bielema and a Chad Morris coached Arkansas team.
Last year wasn't.
I know last year wasn't, but last year
it's a closer game.
It was, because the 2020 they didn't play. So, this is the second shot under Sam Pittman. Look, I think KJ Jefferson's a solid quarterback. I do, I don't know what it is about me and these SEC quarterbacks this year, but, I'm definitely drinking SEC quarterback Kool-Aid this year. I'm in love with them for some reason. I think it's just because I love the fact that the SEC shifted from the pro style offenses to the spread offenses. And I think it makes the games more exciting, because these guys are very talented. I just think 17.5 is a lot. And I've heard a lot of whispers this week about this could be the upset of the week. This could be that game. This could be the game. This could be the Alabama stumble game this year. And I mean, there's no shot in hell I'm taking Arkansas outright, but I'm definitely taking the points here. Like, I don't think this is a blowout win. I think this is a close game. With it being in Arkansas, they got a shot. That's what I'm going to say. Now we can come back. This could set up the same way the Texas-Alabama game did. I was sitting here saying Alabama's going to beat the hell out of them. And then what happened? It was a field goal game. So, I don't know, man. I think Arkansas's got a little shot.
I don't know if y'all know. So Vandy last week, they earned a well-deserved vacation, and that's how that all ended up. So much they didn't care. Alabama, go get your W. We're going to sizzle. I'm taking Arkansas. I'm taking the points. Let's be real. If Bama scores 49 points, give me 24. I don't know if Arkansas is covering. But I do like the confidence of their quarterback. And if they're smart, they'll try and, run the ball control, shorten the game. So I'm taking the points.
So fun stat for you since 2007. So that crosses all sorts of, various levels of teams for Arkansas. They have a losing record against the spread against both ranked teams and top 10 teams and top 5 teams. That all applies to this. They just don't cover the spread. So I think Bama's starting to try and impose their will now and moving into conference play. Will Anderson said he's just offended that the other team is even on the field.
That was wild. Rolls. That was a wild comment.
Yeah,
when I read that earlier today, I was like, "Holy hell! Like, how do you think that in your head? Like, that is wild."
I don't think Nick Saban probably liked that comment too much. Yeah,
because the first thing that's going to happen if they lose a game this year, that's going to be the first comment that gets brought up.
Yeah, that's rat poison. That is 100% rat poison.
Yeah. So. All right, let's move on. The Oklahoma State Cowboys traveling to Baylor. Baylor's given 2.5. Y'all were giving me shit about Baylor last week. Y'all were saying, I don't, Doc, what are you doing, Baylor? Blah blah blah. Which, by the way, I didn't realize that Chapin actually until I watched the Baylor game last week. That the quarterback is actually from my hometown. Is actually from right where I live. Yeah. So I actually didn't know that. I was like, well, damn, that gives me more of a reason to root for Baylor. So with that being said, I'm taking Baylor. I think they're going to cover. Like I said, though, Baylor was one of my picks to win the Big 12 this year. So, I'm going to keep riding with Baylor until the wheels fall off. And that's that.
I'll jump on the other side of that. Screw the 2.5. Give me Oklahoma State. Give me the money line. I still don't really buy Baylor. Beating Iowa State isn't anything to. It's not like winning 2.5 games like Vandy did. So I think Oklahoma State's a more impressive team this early. Baylor's a little more tested, perhaps, but they're just another team I haven't bought into. So Cowboys, give me the points. Heck, give me the money line.
What's the money line looking like?
That says 115 there. Let me see if I can get a.
Oh wait,
good
115. Oh.
And I mean at that you might as well just take the points, honestly.
Yeah.
110. You might as well take the points.
Man, yeah. Well, to kind of jump on that, I don't know how great either of these teams are. When you look at a couple things on there, the Oklahoma State front seven's fantastic. Their secondary sucks. Secondary is second worst in the Big 12, which is saying something in regards to pass defense. Chapin, shout out him. He's played pretty well this year, not at an elite level. I don't know if he has the skills to take advantage of that. I'll take the points in what I think will be a close game. Should be a fun game.
Should be.
I'm going to roll with Baylor. Here's kind of where my thinking is, because I think that you said, what did you say? The first game was the worst one you felt about Nelly. This is my mind that I'm least confident in. I just think this game is back and forth. Like team that has the ball. This is one of the Big 12 classic matches, right? Like the ball's like team scores like 2 minutes left. It's like this is not over. Like let's see what the other team can do. So the one stat that like completely swayed me on going with Baylor is that Oklahoma State's going to have to rely on Spencer Sanders, right, to throw the football and move it. Last year, these teams played twice. They split. Baylor won the Big 12, won the bigger one. But I did not remember the fact that Sanders had 1 touchdown and 7 interceptions in those 2 matchups just against Baylor. So, I mean, obviously you can't rely on what happened last year, but Baylor obviously figured something out, and you can't tell me that that's not in Spencer Sanders' head. He had 4 picks in that Big 12 championship game alone, no touchdowns. So, like, that has to be something that's in your mind. So, I think this is going to go either way, and I have no clue, but I'm going to go Baylor just because of that 1 stat.
After talking, hearing y'all talk about it, and I agree, this is that Big 12 game that goes 45-42, 38-35. Add both of those scores up. What do you have? You got way over 56.5. So this might be a nice, over bet to look at.
And next week he can lead off his sad with, the shambles because they had the ball late and didn't score and the under hit. So we'll definitely look at that.
Will.
So what's funny is we're going to Tallahassee for our next game, and I actually just looked at the weather because I honestly thought the weather was going to be an issue, but it's looking like Saturday the weather's going to be clear. We got Wake getting 6.5, little afternoon Seminole kick. Who wants it?
Man, Demon Deacons. Just kind of a couple things on here. Fabian and Verse are out for Florida State, 2 phenomenal pass rushers. Wake handled themselves pretty well until the 4th quarter against Clemson's hurricane of a front line. I really like Sam Hartman. I think he's a difference maker in this one. Florida State, we talked about him briefly about how, or at least I said, they have a resume equal or on par with teams ahead of them, but I still don't know if I trust them. This could be a game where I'd be hopping on the bandwagon next week if they can get this win.
Real quick, yes, KC, Florida is playing on Sunday, and UCF is also playing on Sunday. So we will have 2 college football games Sunday morning. So,
Don't hate that.
Yeah, no, that's actually not bad at all.
I'll hop in and go with Florida State in this one. And I literally changed my pick like last second. Like I had Wake down because I don't trust Florida State. Like they have not covered and won a game like this in a while. And Wake still was disrespected, but a few reasons why I ultimately went with Florida State. So I think, one, this is a letdown spot for Wake. Everything was poured into last week's matchup, right? You knock off Clemson, you're in the mix. Like that was the opportunity. They hadn't been on the doorstep. They had Clemson beat almost. They had them down. They were in control of that game for a lot of it and then fell at home. So to me, that takes out a lot of the wind in their sails. They're still a good team, but the defense, to me, it's just a lot of question marks. And I know, Nelly, you said you like the under in this one, but I just see a lot of points in this one for that reason. Like, I think Florida State's offense is much better than this matchup was a year ago. They've settled in on one guy at quarterback. They've got some pretty good receivers. Their offense is much improved, and Wake's defense is a little bit shaky. But on the other side, too, I think Sam Hartman is going to get his through this game. So, again, switch this last second. I'm going to go with Florida State. I think there'll be a lot. I personally like the over in this game, assuming like the field conditions, like they can drain pretty well down there. And I think they're pretty good at turf management in Tallahassee, I think. I don't know. Maybe I just made that up. But either way, like I'm going to go with Florida State.
I'll jump on the other side of that. I think this is going to be very similar to that Baylor game we were just talking about, and very similar to the Wake Clemson game last week. I think it's just going to be a ton of scoring. I think somebody's going to score with a minute left to take the lead, and with that, just give me the points.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm going with Wake here. I think Wake actually wins outright. As crazy as that sounds, they showed me a lot last week. Yeah, no, they showed me a lot last week. They actually played really good. I don't know if Florida State can score like that. So I'm going with Wake Forest here.
I don't hate, like, if you pick Wake Forest, I don't hate the money line play on this one. I think like FSU just completely shits the bed, right? Like this is their spot. They're at home.
They're back ranked.
Wake Forest comes in. So but I'm going to be the lone guy chopping it up on Saturday afternoon.
That's gonna be a fun game.
Counter argument's been to what you said about Wake, like that was their season. I mean, you look at this ACC, and I just have a hard time believing anybody's going to get through unscathed. So Wake's just got to keep their head up, and they win this game. They can be back on track.
Fair.
Let's move a little bit. Let's move a little bit up the coast, and I did just check the weather for this. And they are talking about wind. They're talking about rain. Will Shipley said he doesn't matter what the conditions are. Like, I literally just read this. He said they're going to be ready to go. There ain't no telling how much, they're going to give him the ball on Saturday, but this is a very interesting game. I hope it's the ABC night game because I feel like I'm going to watch this game more than any other game just because of the conditions. But I'll tell you this, I'm actually taking North Carolina State here. I'm taking the 6.5. I'm taking the points. I think it's going to be sloppy. I think it's going to be a shitty game. But I like 6.5. I don't think this is some runaway game, in my opinion. So that's where I'm leaning here.
Looking at the weather, it does look like the wind's going to die down by Saturday. Because I'm having flashbacks. I think there was like a Notre Dame game 4 or 5 years ago where
Casey just mentioned
the ball. So I'm taking the points in every game except for this one. I've been ripping on Clemson pretty much every week, and I don't know, but for whatever reason in my gut, I'm expecting this back and forth game again, lower scoring, but I just think somehow Clemson, they're going to be up a score, they're going to get the ball back, they're going to kick a field goal or whatever to just kind of extend it at the end. I'm just feeling that it's a good spot for Clemson. You get the relief of last week's win. You don't have to worry about NC State in a shootout. You're at home. So for whatever reason, the gut, let's lay the points. Still liking that over if the wind's only going to be 6 miles an hour.
Man, it's so tough in this one because I really, as much as I love to spend a hard time, I was a big believer in Devin Leary too, and I've been really frustrated with how he's performed this year. I mean, he's nowhere near the level of expectation I'm sure he has for himself. But DJ somehow put together a pretty solid second half last week. My hope is he's taking the next step. If he doesn't, if they look terrible, they really need to look at KOD coming in. So I don't love it, but I do trust Clemson more in this spot. They're more tested. NC State has never had a 10-win season. They don't. I think that they just kind of find ways to trip up in this spot.
I love this game, and to Casey's point, like this is Clemson's season. This is probably North Carolina State's season. Like if you're paying attention at all the ACC race, this one is huge because these are the two best teams I think in the conference. And NC State won last year. Clemson's in that revenge spot, so it's hard to go into Death Valley. You got the revenge spot. Dabo were bringing their own guts to the game, right? Even though it's raining and whatever. But I do remember that Notre Dame game a lot. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I don't think it's going to be that wet, that rainy. But I do think it will be sloppy, which, again, plays into these defenses, which are both really, really good. So a couple of reasons why I'm going to NC State, right? I'm going to ride with it until I'm done with that bet to start the season, right? But more importantly, like I just think, their defense against the pass, 7 interceptions so far this year, tied for 6 nationally. The defense against the run too has been really good. Top 10 nationally versus the run. So like they've been like, we knew the defense would be really good, but there's an argument to be made. And I know Casey's going to hate this, but I think there's an argument to be made that like they might be the best defense in the ACC. Now they got to show it this weekend. But to your point, Nelly, like DJ, and I've been very critical of him throughout his career. Like as soon as he stepped in against Notre Dame a couple of years back, like he didn't show, like from that point, I was like, I don't see what everybody else has been talking about. And he hadn't lived up to it. But that Wake game, he made some really impressive throws. And I was like, this could actually be a turning point. You don't usually see it this late in somebody's career. Late. I mean, it's his third year as a junior, but you don't usually see it this late in somebody's career after so many kind of questionable games. But will it be a turning point? Like to your point, like if he doesn't step up this week and make the plays and like lead this team, then there's obviously some bigger questions beyond that. So I look at last year's matchup too. NC State won in double overtime. They held Clemson at 214 yards in double overtime. So I know it's not the same teams, but this NC State team has a lot of confidence in this matchup. They feel really good about where they stand against Clemson. And I'm not completely sold on Clemson being in that playoff mix. This game will tell me a lot, right? If Clemson wins, and especially if they cover the spread, I think I'm going to be much more on Clemson's bandwagon. Could be a little teaser for next week. Who knows? But right now, I'm going NC State. I'm riding with the Wolfpack. I'm going to do this. I don't know. It's one of the dumbest traditions maybe, but I'm going to throw it up here for the stream just because I'm going to back NC State. But those are the reasons for it. This is probably the game I'm most excited about out of all these this weekend. Obviously Alabama, but I just think this is going to be a great matchup.
I'm loving Casey's attitude on this game.
Yeah,
Love
Casey. Yeah, no, for sure. So, all right, that wraps it up for the picks. We're gonna do a little look back last week. We're gonna look at the big board, the final takeaway at the big board. Look at me with the 4 and the 2. It really should have been 5 and 1, but I didn't get the 2.5 from Arkansas, which whatever. But we'll take that there. Season totals. I'm no longer in last by myself. And let me not forget, I started 0-6. So
Misery loves company.
hey, we're making moves. Nellie's right there with Cerveza. So this is getting.
Hey, we're on the right side.
Y'all are
Cerveza,
coming back. Yeah.
There we go.
We're coming back, which, by the way, we got Jack's picks for the week. He's getting UCLA, Kentucky, Arkansas, Baylor, Florida State, and NC State. So those are his picks for week 5. And then, of course, here's ours for week 5. I really like this way this week. I think this is dope.
Yeah.
With the logos. Cool. I love the logo
Yeah.
plays here. So shout out to our man EJ for the graphics. This looks
sweet.
Great.
We're pretty split. We're pretty split across the board. I like it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's been definitely a theme with us. Like if you go back and look at last week, like we're usually all 2 and 2, 2 and 2.
Yeah.
So we were all on Florida last week. So, but yeah,
We're smart.
Yeah, we're and we definitely don't talk about any of this ahead of time. So
yeah,
let's go ahead and slide over to the locks of the week, which last week,
fellas. You know what they say? It's difficult to go 0-4 as it is to go 4-0. Just putting it out there.
You're not wrong. The USC pick last week, I thought USC was good as gold. If you took USC, I'm sorry last week, but I thought -7 was shit. I thought that was easy money last week. So
man, for 60 seconds, I thought mine was a lock too. So,
but yeah,
we were
that's
joking around having a good time with that one.
Yeah, Charlotte had a second quarter lead, I think, over South Carolina. Then it went south quick. So last time I took an underdog. Okay.
Yeah, I'll follow that with Texas was up 2 touchdowns, so that's just sad times 4.
But what's funny is I told you last week, I was like, I just don't know about this. I still don't know about Texas. It's just I don't know, man. It's so crazy to watch that happen. Ooh, but we're gonna slide over to this week's locks. We're gonna lock it in. Boom.
All right.
This is what we're looking like this week. Somebody take the lead.
Cerveza, I'm going to go ahead and set you up. You're taking LSU on the road and laying 9 points, my friend. I want to hear it.
I've been drinking. Everything's okay over here in Texas. First thing, rule of gambling for Cerveza when he can do it, which he breaks the rule all the time, is don't want to lay double digits in conference on the road, unless you got Alabama or something like that. So I'm just under that. Auburn, I just don't see how they're going to score. I don't see how they're going to hold onto the ball. LSU's been playing pretty good defense. And so I think what's just going to happen is Auburn's not going to be able to get these drives going consistently. And you're going to give Jaden Daniels enough chances to make things happen. And he's going to make just enough plays with his feet, with his arm. And I think they're going to coast. I think they could win by 20. I don't see how Auburn keeps up. LSU's impressed me the last couple of weeks. And this is just not the team I'm afraid of. So Jaden Daniels, I think he's going to have a big day, and LSU is going to cover.
Yeah, I don't hate the pick. I don't trust. I'm not in that full on trust mode with LSU quite yet. But I did say Auburn's season's going off the rails pretty quickly. Like they should have lost last week. Harsin probably should have been fired this week. It's only a matter of time. A blowout this week might actually be the thing that actually pushes him through the door. He's the odds-on favorite to be the next coach gone. We've already had 3 Power 5 coaches fired. He's on the doorstep of it happening. So I don't hate the pick. I don't trust it on the road at Auburn, but
sure.
I respect
it. I was really close with the Kansas game and then with that over 40 on the Clemson game with which the weather, I'm glad I didn't pick that. But it was really close. Talk to us about ECU.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, you want ECU? Okay. So ECU lost to Navy last week. Not the kind of mindset you want to be in heading into a game. But they go to South Florida. South Florida, again, atrocious defense. I think East Carolina can move the ball. And again, their running back last week got knocked out after 5 carries. He's a pretty good running back for for East Carolina, Keaton Mitchell. So he's going to be back. He's been back in practice. They say he's ready to go. So he returns. He changes that offense completely. So that was a big loss last week. But this game's also moving from Tampa, where they're getting hit with the hurricane this week. Lost all the Knights down there and everybody else down there. But this game's moving to Boca Raton. So it's going all the way across the state, all the way down south. It's not a home game anymore for South Florida. I don't even know that there'll be 2,000 fans in Boca Raton that care about watching East Carolina and South Florida. So like, it's no longer a home game. It's just get in, East Carolina, take care of business. And I think like South Florida's probably had some problem. I tried to do some research on their practice this week. I don't know how much they've been displaced by all the weather and everything happening, but I just feel like that's got to be a distraction. Playing at Boca Raton, East Carolina is a better team against a bad defense. I love fading bad defenses. So I'm taking East Carolina to show up in a game that doesn't mean anything to anybody but me, because I'm playing it, and maybe you if you want to lock it in as well with me. But that's it. So I'm going East Carolina. I love some of those other games I put out earlier, but it ultimately settled on the Pirates.
Yeah. Man, I'm going to tell that with you. I love that pick. South Florida is horrible. They are a horrific team. ECU's showed themselves that they should have beat NC State earlier this year. So I'm with you on that. Little change pace, Minnesota over. I absolutely love this pick. Drop a nuke on it. I'm telling you, a couple things alike.
Ooh, drop a
offensive
nuke.
Offensive
Love it.
efficiency for Minnesota is off the charts. Number 1 in the country. I mean, they are the number 2 rushing team in the country. Tanner Morgan's fantastic. They are going to score a lot of points. On the flip side of that, their defense efficiency rankings are also in the top 10. They have yet to face a top 100 offense. I pinned that on that. Purdue's got enough friskiness. In 3 out of 4 games, they scored 30 points. I love the over. It seems like a sucker bet, but I love it.
Can somebody explain to me how Mississippi State is a 4-point favorite at home when their only test this year they lost by 2 touchdowns? Can anybody tell me why?
It's got to be A&M's lack of ability to score. That's it.
Yeah, I mean their offenses.
When I saw this line, I was like, dude, this is baffling to me. Like, I didn't understand it. I'm 100% betting at least $100 bill on this. But this is one of those games where I will actually put money in and put money on the 4 points.
We're dropping a nuke.
This makes absolutely no sense to me. So I'm locking up A&M with the 4 points because honestly, there is no shot in hell Mississippi State wins this game. Book that.
Look at that. I like it.
So you're just going money line. You're going money line and you're taking the point.
I mean, look, depending on how sweet the money line is, like, hang on, Todd, actually, I'll look that up now while we're talking about it, but there's just no.
You got to take the points for this, but maybe your money.
Yeah, so the money line is 146. The points are minus 120. So, I mean, it's right there. I mean, I definitely.
If you believe in them.
Yeah, no, for sure. So that's kind of where I'm at. And the over-under of 45.5, boy, that's something to behold, little SEC football. So that's
who was it that took the parlay a couple weeks ago that went 4-0? We need that person, whoever that was. I forgot who it was. They need to take our parlay again. I feel like it's a pretty good week. We all feel pretty confident this week. We got to bounce back from that 0-4. That's all I'm saying. We have the head of winning on tonight. We're back.
Yeah. It was Sparty. And we only had 3
Sparty.
picks because y'all doubled up. And one thing I was thinking is
that's true.
We should probably be betting the parlay both ways. All of them winning and all of them losing.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's actually kind of fun.
Big brain of Cerveza.
And I'm with you on ECU. I just was looking through. I was like, I think I have a South Florida under bet. South Florida under 4.5. The new Vandy, the anti-Vandy.
Love it.
Yeah, let's go Pirates.
Well,
good deal, boys.
Hey, this has been a great show. I feel like we're really in some rhythm tonight. I feel like we had a really good show here. Anybody want to close us off with anything?
I would just say, hey, Discord, be in the Discord. I know Cerveza's mixing it up, chopping it up from like the first thing I see is a Cerveza message at like 8 a.m. The last thing I see before I go to bed is a Cerveza message like telling me to take an under in the Pac-12 or out west. So I love it. And there's a little bit of Nelly, a little bit of Doc mixed in, and a lot of other people. But in all seriousness, it is like a lot of fun there on Saturdays. It's quiet during the week, but there's a lot of chatter and a lot of good alpha throughout the.
And I want to shout out. Hang on, there's one particular person I do want to shout out in the Discord that goes wild every single weekend with his picks. Where's he at? Hold on. And by the way, Emperor G, if you're in here, he told me this week. He said if West Virginia beats Texas this week, I have to do a shoey on stream. And I'll take him up on that bet, but it's not happening because Texas is winning that game. But
right, so you did take the bet. You did.
Yeah, I'm taking the bet right here. The video is right here. If Texas loses, I do a shoey next week, and I have a disgusting shoe I will use. So there's that. I'm not ruining a good shoe. But I do want to shout out LuckyJack.eth because he throws the wildest, most random shit in on Saturdays, and I just absolutely love it. So shout out to Lucky Jack. Shout out to the college football portion of the Discord. So, yeah, I'm in. Emperor G, I'm in. So, there you go.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. EJ, thanks for all the work you do. Jigga, Jack, thanks for coming by. We didn't really get to it, but I think the Pac-12 had a big week last week, so looking forward to see what the top teams there can do this week.
Rock and roll, man. Hey, 5 ranked matchups this year. First time in 5 years. Let's have a great weekend. Bunch of fun games to watch. Get in the Discord. Let's make some money.
Hell, yeah.
Roll Tide.
Peace.
Yeah.